GB Railfreight is a people business, and as such it is vitally important that both commercially and for the people that work in the business we operate safely on a day-to-day basis. There are a number of risks that we face in a number of circumstances day in and day out. The examples that you're about to see have taken place with people that we know and people that we've worked with on a day-to-day basis. I think they're all the more powerful because of the experiences that they're reflecting upon. So please watch the examples within the film, learn by the mistakes of our colleagues, and then when you're out there next time you're working, think twice about what it is you do and how you carry out your duties.
In the early hours of an autumn morning, train manager Aaron Burton arrived in Aylesbury North Loop with a train comprising 24 wagons, top and tailed with 2 Class 66 locomotives. He climbed down from the north end cab and walked back towards the other end of the train. What happened next nearly cost him his life. Aaron had been on the railway for nearly 20 years, 18 of those as a driver. He joined GB Railfreight 3.5 years ago as a train manager. He has an unblemished record and had never before been involved in a serious incident. But on this night, a combination of complacency and preconception proved a near fatal combination.
I run into Aylesbury around about 3 o'clock in the morning. Isolated my engine as normal, put my tail lights on. The cess side to the loop was overgrown, and so I decided to walk up the Claydon side. I mean, the cess is basically, it's okay in patches. I think one of the things that really I thought about after this happened was never ever, in all the jobs I've done, I've never seen a train come down the Claydon line while I've walked up that time of morning. But obviously it was winter time and the railway treatment train's out. So I've walked up the track, the side of the train. I've got to the loco. I was carrying my rucksack and my lodging bag, so I had all the bags on me. And I thought I'll just check the rear cab because I've got to put the E70 back in on that loco. If the doors were locked, and they were. So I started to walk down the side of the loco, and I was fidgeting into my rucksack on my back to find the keys to open the doors on the loco. I thought I'll throw my bags in and I'll go back and put the E70 in. I just looked, it was pitch black, and I looked up and I see this headlight just coming towards me. And it was, when I'd used the length counter on the train when I came into the loop, I stopped dead perfect with the signal, and it's on a bend. So obviously he's come out through the platform, he'd be doing 30 and it goes up to 60 near where I am. So obviously he's opened up. I've seen him, I think at the same time as he saw me. He didn't have any time to brake. And I had a split decision, do I run in front of him or do I make a run for the front of the train? And I made a bolt for the front of the train. Now I look back on it, I should have hit the floor, which we've been taught from the start, but you just don't think, when you're in that situation, you don't think to hit the floor. So I made a bolt for the front of the train, and I run into the buffer just as he went past me, so it was very, very tight, very tight. If it had been another couple of seconds, he would have hit me, you know, he would have took me out. So. But that was it, and then really I felt more embarrassed about it, to be honest. I got on the loco, put my bags on the loco, went and put the E70 in, got down on the phone, and the signalman said to me, he said the driver of the railway treatment train had reported a near miss. And that was then when really it hit home to me. Well, yeah, okay, I was embarrassed about what happened, but it was a severe thing that had happened, and it could have been worse. And then I felt how the driver of the railway treatment train was feeling, because I was then feeling a bit myself, that this could have been worse than what it was. Well, what I should have done is when I arrived at Aylesbury, because it was a busy BTR for us, I think we had 8 trains on, it was 6 or 8 trains we had on there, so we were all queuing up, and I was actually the last train to go in. And when I run into Aylesbury platform, I did actually get on the phone to the signalman And he said, well, we've got one of yours in the loop waiting for it to come out. Well, what I should have said to him then was, can you block the cladding line? When I run in, can you block the cladding line? And then when I get up to the other end, when I get back up to the south end, I'll let you know that I'm back clear and you can take the line back. Well, that's what I should have done.
And set back towards the prison park, driver, set back. Over.
It would be difficult to find a more conscientious and dedicated employee than Mike Hope. Mike has been a terminal operative with GB Railfreight for 5 years and is currently shunting in Whitemoor Yard. Back in May 2010, he became involved in a SPAD while working with a yard pilot, a Class 66 locomotive.
And we were doing a shunt involving the 6 Lima 84, which had just entered the yard. I'd had a brief with my fellow shunter, who was in a different part of the yard, and I was with the driver, which I had a bass wagon on the engine, and I was with the driver, but I was positioned in the rear cab. The movement was to involve us coming onto the back of some other traffic from behind Mike Echo 52 signal. I contacted my fellow shunter, who said that he was ready for me to set back. Set back when you're ready, pilot, driver, set back. Over.
I then instructed the driver by radio to set back onto the traffic that had entered the yard, but I failed to look at the ground signal, Mike Echo 52, which was positioned on the ground, but was covered by the bass wagon, where I'd normally be, if you was on a pilot or a shunt engine, you can stand on the front step. The driver's got a front view as well. We were using a Class 66 loco this particular evening, and as I say, I was positioned in the back cab, and I just instructed the driver to set back as normal, and I didn't look at the ground signal, thus causing signal past the danger.
Thanks, Mike. You've just spotted us now.
Oh, you're joking. Oh, Jesus.
I've got to say, it was down to my own judgment. I should have got up and checked the signal. From where I was sat, controlling the move, yes, I couldn't see the signal, but if I'd have got up and looked out the door or the window of the cab, I would have seen the signal. I should have contacted the tower to ask him for the signal, Mike Echo 52.
Shunter, Hope to Tower, can we have Mike Echo 52 signal, please? Over.
Tower to Shunter Hope, yes, confirm that. I will get the shunt signal off once Lima 84 is in clear. Over.
The tower then would have contacted March East signal box to correspond with the signalman.
Hello March East, once 6 Lima 84 is in clear, could we have the signal off at Mike Echo 52 and 53 please? Thank you.
There has been an issue where I think it's been dealt with by management now, that there was this complacency with the signal being given back to us without permission. It was just given back to us. For me personally, because I've always been very cautious and proud of my record with GB, you know, no blemishes, as I say, you know, very good sickness record, and I've always been there to support the company where I can. So from my own personal point of view, it was quite, I think the word I'm looking for, it was quite disturbing. I was quite really, you know, upset about it. There was surrounding factors involving the incident, personal details, which I feel may have clouded my concentration and perhaps didn't help to contribute towards the incident. It was something that I never want to repeat, because the feeling of when something like that happens is not nice, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. There was no collision. There was no damage, which to me was a massive personal relief. But there's no cover stories, you know. It's honesty's a big thing. I think honesty is a big thing, and I think you've got to hold your hands up when something like this happens, and that's what I did.
There is no doubt that the practice of clearing the ground-mounted position signal, protecting the exit from the head shunt without request, was a major contribution to this SPAD. It would lead to the unsafe procedure of assuming the signal to be off. But in the last resort, the fault lies squarely with Mike. It's a mistake he won't make again. Mick Chris is an assistant train manager at Peterborough, where he's been with GB Railfreight for the last 5.5 years. Mick was previously employed by Royal Mail as a sorting clerk on the Paddington-Swansea TPO. It would be fair to say he knows the railway pretty well. Mick often found himself working at the British Gypsum Depot at East Leake near Nottingham, where his duties involved checking the loading and unloading of the gypsum boxes, large containers with hinged end doors. The whole operation is normally very slick. A huge forklift, called a fantuzzi, is employed to transfer the loaded boxes to waiting trucks, which then return with empty boxes to be reloaded to the train. It is very precisely choreographed, like a mechanical ballet.
I was at East Leake performing my duties, which involved checking the train being unloaded and reloaded with empty boxes from the gypsum. As I was walking along the 6 foot, going up and down the train with a shovel, because as well as the train being in movement, when it's stationary for the boxes to be unloaded, I'm there to shovel off any excess gypsum that is all around the boxes but on the wagon. I'd received a phone call and moved to a position of safety into the cess from the 6 foot. As I'm receiving the phone call with my back to the train, I've heard crash, bang, wallop, and looked round and saw the box laying in the 6 foot, or one end of the box laying in the 6 foot, the other half of the box still on the train. It was about 20 feet from where I was stood, and probably 10 seconds before I was stood at that position, which should be safe, but I'd moved away from that area to receive the phone call because of the noise levels of the fantuzzi. It wasn't until much later, when I was driving home, that I realised how lucky I had been not to have been stood there. And I really thanked God, or thanked whoever, that my phone rang at that time to cause me to move away from there.
As a result of this frightening near miss, the operational instructions at the East Leake terminal have been amended. It's no longer permitted for any person to work on the left or near side of the train while the gypsum boxes are being loaded and unloaded. The purpose of this short film has been to emphasise the importance of personal risk assessment. Leaving aside any blame issues, we can see that Aaron risked his life because he assumed that nothing would be running on the Claydon line at that time of night. Mike was the primary cause of a SPAD in Whitemoor Yard because he assumed that the head shunt signal was off. And Mick narrowly missed being crushed by a falling gypsum box because he never thought such a thing would happen.
Well, definitely what I'll do next time is when I run into Aylesbury, I would speak to the signalman, as we normally do when we go in, but then ask him to block the Claydon line and say to him, can't guarantee what the cess is going to be like, so I might as well walk up the Claydon. If you can block it, and when I get to the South End loco, I'll ring you back and you can take the line back, and I wouldn't have got myself into the situation I got caught in.
I'd just like to get the point across that if you've ever got any issues, personal issues, please don't take them onto the railway with you, onto the line. It can be very dangerous, and it can really cloud your judgment out there when you've got to be thinking 100%. Because indecision and lack of concentration can cost lives and can cost a lot of damage. So please be safe and just think of your colleagues, and you know, I hope this message gets across to everybody that just be vigilant, be safe, and just talk to people. You know, don't keep things hidden inside you. Just talk to people. There are people there to help.
Although everybody's professional and the Fantusi driver does the same job day in, day out, countless throughout the week, always anticipate an accident.
The simple message is think twice before you put yourself and others in danger.